create war. Because war is a business for the American government na tinatawag nila kamentong na deep state. Yan po ang kalagayan ng Pilipinas ngayon. The war between China and America inside the Philippines has been raging. And what kind of war is that? Before po ang actual shooting war. The war of information. Ano ang layunin ng Amerika? Bakit siya nagpo-propaganda? Ang layunin niya ay kontrolin ang Indo-Pacific region, ang Southeast Asia, ang Asian region, where 38% of world trade, ginagamit po ang ruta na ito. Kaya niya ini-assert ang kanyang pananaw na siya lang ang kumikilala, ang tinatawag niyang freedom of navigation. Ang China walang kasaysayan na mananakop siya. They did not kill a single Filipino. Wala pong ganong history ang bansang China, mga kababayan.
Sabi nga, we are the most, ally daw tayo ng United States. But we are now being used to spark a war with China. So, our duty before the shooting start is to fight the propaganda for war. We should say no to war. We should say yes to peace and progress. What we see and hear about pushing Filipino to hate China are lies because we've never been at war with China. So the message is, let's start finding the truth. Let's start finding the truth ourselves because we cannot rely on the media, on our government because most of them are already bought by the deep state money.
Calling for an end to all wars, calling for the ejection of the U.S. military bases in the Philippines and so on. Bakit? 500 years of forever war. Galing sa mga kanlurang, mga imperialista, kolonyalista, sinakop ang Pilipinas, sinakop ang mga bahagi ng China, sinakop ang Indonesia, sinakop ang Malaysia, sinakop ang Africa, sinakop ang Middle East. And for 500 years, sila ang namayagpag. But the world today, Asia, tayo, mula sa Asia, we're beginning to change this world, this history. We are beginning to introduce a new economy to the global situation.
Anti-war, neutrality for prosperity resonates deeply with aspirations of every Filipino. We all want a Philippines that is strong and united, resilient even in the face of geopolitical tensions.
They come really, truly. Do you know why they come? For Venezuelan oil, they want it for free, for the gas. We have Venezuela's largest oil reserves, and that oil doesn't belong to Maduro, much less to the Americans. It belongs to you. That oil is yours, you hear? Of you, of these boys and girls, that world's largest oil reserve belongs to the people of Venezuela. We have the 4th largest gas reserves in the world. And who does that gas belong to? To Venezuela. We have one of the largest gold reserves. And that's not all. There's more. They're coming for our natural resources, for our fertile land. They're coming for Venezuela's riches.
How good is he, right? That America was founded on faith, as we know, and I've been saying it for a long time. And when faith gets weaker, our country seems to get weaker. When faith gets stronger, as it is right now, we're having a very good period of time. After some rough years, good things happen for our country. It's amazing the way it seems to work that way. And under the Trump administration, we're defending our rights and restoring our identity as a nation under God. We are one nation under God, and we always will be. As president, I will always defend our nation's glorious heritage, and we will protect the Judeo-Christian principles of our founding, and we will protect them with vigor. We have to bring back religion in America, bring it back stronger than ever before as our country grows stronger and stronger. Our country is now the hottest nation anywhere in the world 1 year ago. But to have a great nation, you have to have religion. I believe that so strongly. There has to be something after we go through all of this, and that something is God. We go through all of this for a reason. It's not easy, believe me.
China's University of Science and Technologies unveiled a Zhushangji 3.0 quantum processor, a 105-qubit machine that reportedly performs certain calculations up to 1 quadrillion times faster than today's best classical supercomputers. Now, it's a staggering claim, and we always have to remember that this speed applies to a very narrow benchmark test, not to everyday computing. The key benchmark is called random circuit sampling. And think of this as a stress test where the computer has been asked to run a circuit full of randomized operations. The output has a unique fingerprint that's practically impossible for a classical supercomputer to reproduce. I say that because there have been a lot of claims in the past that a quantum processor has done what a classical computer would take millions of years to do, only to find out several months later that a classical computer actually solved the problem in a lot less time. But this random circuit sampling is supposed to be tough enough to prove a quantum processor has crossed into a performance territory beyond classical machines. And at least for now, the Chinese have taken the lead. Now, this doesn't mean the US is standing still. No, Google's Willow chip and IBM's Heron are pushing ahead in qubit counts and error correction. But Zhushangji's 3.0 is showing performance levels that US chips haven't yet demonstrated. What was once called a Sputnik moment. It was named after the satellite that the Russians launched in the 1950s that woke the US up to the fact that their arch rival, the Soviet Union, had beaten them into getting a satellite into orbit. The US had clearly underestimated the Soviet Union. And it's possible that history is repeating itself in computing, this time with China. And that's a big deal because the entire US economy right now is resting on its dominance in advanced technology. And these recent breakthroughs are important. The race isn't to get the best benchmark score. These aren't real-world applications. But as the error rates drop and reliability improves, practical uses are starting to come into view. This could mean things like simulating molecules for new drug therapies or, more ominously on the other side, breaking older forms of encryption that are still in use across the internet. I think it's fair to say that the US thought it had an insurmountable lead in AI and recently woke up to China's progress. Now it's time to take a look at quantum computing with the same lens. As they say in baseball, it ain't over till it's over. But we're getting closer to the seventh inning, and you don't want to be too far behind.
The manufacturing center of the world. Yes, the United States still has very important industries, high tech, for example, things like that. You know, Google and Amazon and Apple. But if you want to see where factory production is still the core of the economy, it's not here. We call it the Rust Belt because it was there, but it isn't there anymore. It's in China. And what that means is that the Chinese can produce anything really quickly and in first-class quality, sometimes superior to what you can get in the West. Increasingly, that happens. Why is that important? Well, I'll give you, again, just one example in the interest of time. When the United States decided to fight against Russia in Ukraine, to be the financial support, to be the intelligence provider, to be the armaments provider, along with the Europeans, when the United States did that, the number one weapon was the sanctions. They hit Russia with the mother of all sanctions, and they were sure, if you remember what President Biden used to say, we'll bring them to their knees. We'll change the ruble into rubble. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, none of that happened. And the reason none of that happened is important, because the Russians, who were hurt by those sanctions, who were endangered by those sanctions, got around them by turning to their fellow members of the BRICS. Mm-hmm. When they couldn't sell oil and gas, crucial to Russia's economy, when they couldn't sell oil and gas anymore to Europe, who shut them down as part of the sanctions program, here's what they did. They turned to India, they turned to China, and China and India together bought all the oil and gas, paid them in good money. Boom, the Russians were not only not brought to their knees, the Russian economy, Americans don't get this, has grown faster over the 3 years of the war than the United States did. So the BRICS proved to be the reason why Ukraine, the war is being won not by our side, but by the other side. For no other reason, you've got to understand Russia has limitless amounts of missiles and drones and all the rest of it because they turn to China, and not only China, other countries in the BRICS like Iran. And those countries will sell to Russia, will provide Russia in a way that the United States can't win. I mean, I don't know what it takes to teach the American people. We're living in a very different world. And instead of having fantasies about why that might be, or looking for scapegoats, the immigrants, we have to hold them. The immigrants are not our problem. Our problem is we have to come to terms with a changed world economy. And if we don't, they will leave us further and further behind. And that will cost the United States in ways I don't even want to sketch. But people are smart enough to have some inkling, I think, already.